All right, here we go. Welcome everybody to the I Am Him Men's Empowerment Open Live discussion. Right? So if you're here, save your questions. I'll let you know when to open up for questions. I don't want you to start putting stuff in the chat and then it goes all the way up. I don't see it. So I'm going to get to a point where I'll probably stop talking and then I will start answering questions and we can do things like that. But since it's the first one, right? I want to first kind of talk about what is the FCS I Am Him Men's Empowerment Group. What is this? Where did this come from? So it was born out of, for one, when I was in church and I was a young man. When I say, I mean, I still am a young man, right? I'm 39, but I'm still a young man. When I was like really, really young, like in my 20s, mid 20s, I don't know. I don't remember. I forgot what was going on in the church service. I forgot what was going on. And something I they gave him the mic. I guess it was like, what is God going to do with you, or what is God going to do in your life, and so on and so forth. And for something, I don't know why, but I said I'm going to be working to set men free. I'm going to be working to make sure that all men are free and are able to be themselves and do whatever. I don't think it was a long thing like that, but it was something along those lines. And so then years passed. I didn't do anything. There was no group. There was nothing like that. Maybe I was in training, I'm not sure. But I've seen as of late, a lot of different things going on. Now I've seen it. Let me say this. I've seen it kind of along the way, like the attacks that have been on men and masculinity. I've seen it along the way, and I've seen it for some time. And I noticed it even back when I was a little, elementary school age. And we'll get into all that. But there's the concentrated effort to destroy men, which is why the name of this one is called The Origins of Man and the Devil's Order 66. Right. So when we'll get into all that. But long story short, I want to make sure that men are able to be their full, authentic selves, that they are able to be fully integrated, that we are able to be fully integrated, because there's so much junk out there in the world. There is so much trash in the world, and we don't know which way to go. You got men acting like women. You got men being what I'll call hyper masculine, like you call them alpha or whatever. You got classifications. You got like all this foolishness. There's so much foolishness out there in the world, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, gosh, no, it can. Am I the only one? Am I the only one that sees this? Am I the only one seeing this, right? Am I the only one seeing how they make men look like complete and total fools and idiots on TV from a very young age? Am I the only one that sees that? Am I the only one that sees that they're making men look like incompetent at all times? Am I the only one that sees that? Am I the only one listening when men are laughing and joking about how incompetent they are and how they can't take care of their children and if their wife has to handle am I the only one? I feel like I'm in like bizarro world. Like, y'all don't see how that's a problem? Like, y'all don't see how those shows are a problem? Y'all don't see how the media is a problem? Y'all don't see what you're doing is a problem? Oh man, and we talk about, man, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself. Pull it in, reel it back, because we're gonna get into all that. I don't want to just jump around, but this is what I'm talking about right here. This is what I'm talking about right here, right? There's so much junk in the world, and we need to set the record straight so men learn how to be men, so we learn how to be fully actualized, so women can understand what men are supposed to be like. Because guess what? This program that I'm talking about, it's not just men being programmed, but it's also women being programmed. I'm going to get into all that in 1 second, but the FCS Men's I Am Him Empowerment Group, it is just that. It is designed to empower men to be leaders, providers, and protectors wherever they are, whether you're married or you're not married. You know what? Let me just jump into it right there. I'm going to start right there. I'm going to hop in, right? So I'm a Christian. So I come from a Christian worldview. God made man in his image. He made man in his image. That means We move like he does. We supposed to act like he. We have the authority like he. We're supposed to have all that. He made us, right? And God is not weak, and God is not incompetent, and God is not foolish, right? So neither should we. He made us, and it is intrinsically built into us as men to be leaders, providers, and protectors. And I'm going to have other, videos and live streams and things like that, information that goes into more detail, because that's very surface level. And a lot of times us as men, we take those roles as just surface level. I'm a leader because I make decisions. And I have the final say. I'm a provider because I make the most money. And I'm a protector because no one's going to physically harm my family or the people around me. And we stop right there. And it's like, there's so much more. There's so much more to this role, to us being men, than just those very surface level things. And we'll drive that all deeper, but need to understand that we are just built into us to be leaders, providers, and protectors. It just is. It doesn't matter whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're in North America or South America or Asia or wherever. Doesn't matter what your culture is. None of that stuff matters. Every single man is a leader, provider, and protector. It's built into our DNA. That's why you can't just, I'll say it, you can't just pretend to be a man and think you're a man. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Right? There's something spiritual that about us being men. There's something in our DNA. There's something in us and something about us. There's something about us. It's just built in, and you cannot pretend. You cannot fake the funk at all. Nobody at any point in time. Yeah. So I say all this to say, this group is to get men back into these positions, to help us understand what our roles are, to get us to understand how to operate in these roles and be effective in these roles. Right? We as men, we want to do this. This isn't something that we don't want to do, and it shouldn't be something we don't want to do, because that's the reason the world is in disarray as it is. Men are not in place like we need to be. Right? We got women running things. We got children running things. We got wicked, evil people running things. And we have good men sitting back, some willingly and some because you just don't know what to do. How can I make it a change in my community? How can I take control in my relationship and make a positive change there? How can I make a change with my children? How can I make a change in the school? How can I make a change in all these different areas and places? How can I make that change? And so that's what this group is about. It's about being able to teach us how to operate in these roles so we can make the change we need, the change in our relationship, the change on our job, the change in our finances, the change with our kids, the change with our education, the change with other men. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. So, first thing, like I said, we're made in God's image, right? We're made to be leaders, providers, and protectors. Right? And what is a leader, right? I'm not, again, I didn't want to go deep into this, but I won't go deep into it because I'm still building out that study or whatnot. But I do want to give you a quick thing. A leader is someone who is taking care of and cultivating those who are in their care. They guide, they cultivate, they instruct. That's what a leader does. A leader is not just about making decisions. It's not just being the one on top that makes decisions and takes the blame. That's not what being a leader is all about. Being a leader, and Jesus said it, being a leader is about being a servant, which is why I always tell, I tell young men who don't have families or children yet, like, you better be very careful and be very conscious about whether or not you want to get married. Because when you get married, as a man, you take on a tremendous amount of responsibility. It's not just about you anymore, and it's not just about love anymore. No, your job now is to cultivate your wife and your children and pour into them. And be like, it's a lot. So you got to be very, very, very careful about stepping into that role willy-nilly. I know the world thinks marriage is trash, thinks it's just a piece of paper and treat it like just a relationship. Like marriages are just like relationships on Tinder. You just come and go and come and go. That is not how a marriage is supposed to be, ever, at any point in time. It's supposed to be forever. This is someone I want to be with forever. right? So, and that's no shade. Anyone's been divorced before, or anything like that. But I'm just telling you that that's what it is, right? We're not supposed to be jumping in just willy-nilly. And I'm in Vegas and people do that stuff all the time, but we shouldn't be doing that. Not as men, knowing what it means to be a leader now. Our job is to build up and cultivate those in our care. What does it mean to be a provider? It's not just money. It's not just money. It's not just food. You got to provide spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. There's so much wisdom, knowledge, understanding. We're supposed to be pouring into the people underneath us. We should be reading and studying and watching videos. Like, we need to be pouring in, pouring in to the people, to cultivate our children, to cultivate our wives, to open them up. Like, that's what a leader does. A leader serves. That's all a leader is. A leader is a servant. And so we got to provide those around us. And I said wife and kids, but even those around us, right? At work, providing information to other people and helping other people and things of that nature. Like, we need to be able to do that. That's part of the whole being a man thing, helping friends and family, whatnot. Like, we got to provide those things. Now, the last part, protection. Protection, again, I know a lot of times it's like, oh, put the fist up, we're just going to fight, and that's it, But the fact of the matter is, nah, there's more to it than that. Again, similar before, financially, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, we have to make sure that we're protecting in these ways, especially if you're married. If you're married or thinking about getting married or in a relationship, that emotional protection, making sure your wife or your girlfriend or your fiance feels emotionally safe, that is critical for your relationship. That's a freebie. You get that. And we'll talk about this stuff in more detail in future live streams and different podcasts and things like that. Because my podcast, I am going to be going into a men's series soon. But just stay tuned. But here we are again for the live stream. Again, if you have any questions, save them for, like I said, about, 17 minutes from now, something like that, about 30 minutes in, we'll start taking questions. So the protection, again, so leader, provider, protector, deeper, much deeper and wider and more vast than we might have thought before. All right. So now, this is the part I want to get to. And this is the part that kind of hit me on my prayer walk one day. I call it the Devil's Order 66. Now, if you're familiar with Star Wars, then you understand what Order 66 was. If you haven't seen Star Wars, I'm going to ruin it for you. In episode 3, the Emperor set out Order 66. And Order 66 was a built-in code for all the clone troopers to then execute all Jedi in their vicinity. That was Order 66. It was built, it was like, again, subverted. It went out there, they killed off the Jedi or most of them or whatnot, and they started hunting down the rest of them, right? That was Order 66. I strongly believe, matter of fact, I know that the devil has also placed an Order 66 on man, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to in the garden with Adam and Eve. Now, in the garden with Adam and Eve, and God gave Adam the command. He said, do not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge, and if you do, you're going to die. Right? I said, cool, right? The devil comes along, and I want you to understand how the devil didn't go straight to the man, just like the emperor didn't go straight to the Jedi. He didn't do that. He used an intermediary. He said, I can't go straight to the man. It's too much of opposition. Right? Believe it or not, the devil's afraid of us as men. He's afraid of us. And again, I'm going to go into that. He's afraid of us learning who we are. The most dangerous men in the world are the ones who know who they are, and they know how to operate in their masculinity. They know how to operate with their emotions. They know how to operate as a leader, provider, protector. Those are the most dangerous men on the planet. The ones that are harmless, that are soft, that they don't step up, the women kind of run them, they don't have, there's no threat in them. There's no threat in them. But again, we'll get everybody there. But I'm just trying to let you know that's a dangerous thing. That's why the devil didn't just go to Adam. He would have got smacked up if he went to Adam. Just like when he tried to go to Jesus and Jesus smacked him up, Adam would have done the same thing. Again, Jesus was the second Adam. So we can draw the parallel between the two. But you notice that in this instance with Adam, he didn't go straight to Adam. Who did he go to? He went to his wife. He went through a woman. He didn't go and try to trick Adam, because Adam would have said, thus saith the Lord. God said, don't touch her or I'm going to die. Oh, we're not really going to die. God said, don't touch it or I'm going to die. Just like when Jesus in the wilderness, and Jesus said, and he was like, oh, just command those stones to be turned bread. Nah, it's written. It's written. It's written. Jump off. It's written. Worship me. It's written. Like, he smacked them up. Adam would have done the exact same thing to the serpent, to the devil, if the devil would have came straight to him. But what did he do? He went to his wife. His wife wasn't on guard. She just was, I don't know what she was doing. I don't know why she was just sitting there just chilling. But he went to the wife and he talked to her and he laced a truth with a lie. Oh, you're not really gonna die. You're gonna know good and evil like God. It was true. We were gonna know good and evil like God. What was not true is that, yeah, we were gonna die. And when we look at that, then what happens? Who gave Adam the fruit? Eve gave Adam the fruit. Why? Because Eve had Adam's heart. Adam could have been easily persuaded by Eve. And all those who are married, and if you have a wife and she knows how to use her feminine wiles and stuff like that, it's easy for her to persuade you if she knows how to. So what happened with that? He got into Eve, right? Got Eve to go to Adam. Now, and Adam was sitting right here as well. This is also another problem. And why was Adam sitting there allowing his wife to be manipulated? Whole big issue on that. We can talk about that another time. But you got to actually think why. He heard the conversation. It didn't say that Eve went searching around the garden for Adam. It didn't say that. Didn't say she was by her. It said she took the fruit, she bit the fruit, she gave the fruit to Adam. That means Adam was sitting there the whole time not saying anything. And how many times, man, do we sit there and not say anything? We see someone doing something wrong and we don't say anything. We see people being mistreated and we don't say anything. And we see our wife doing the wrong thing, or our kids doing the wrong thing, or our friend doing the wrong thing. And we sit there like Adam, not operating our roles, leaders, providers, or protectors, and don't say a word. Watch them run off the cliff and destroy themselves. We don't say a word. Sitting there in boardrooms, letting wicked ideas come out and don't say a word. Being up there in government, knowing there's wickedness up there and don't say a word. Too often we just go along to get along. What is that? We can't do that as men. That's not what we're supposed to do. Adam should have smacked that fruit out of her hand and said, no, what are you doing? That's what he was supposed to do. But he didn't do that. Instead, he became passive. Instead, he became manipulated. And then he just ate the fruit. And that's when the problems came in. That's when there was an issue. That is what happened. And so ever since then, the devil's been using the exact same strategy. Like I said, the Order 66, the efforts to go and destroy men, but he doesn't do it directly. He's still going about in backwards ways. He's still going about saying, I'm going to tell you, this is the trick, right? This is the trick. Because then he was still trying to destroy men, and then he did it through women and through sex and through power and all these things like that. But it wasn't a complete victory, right? The devil didn't have a complete victory. And I might have jumped the gun because her eating the fruit and all that, that wasn't the Order 66. I'm going to get to that. I jumped the gun on that. My apologies. I'm going to get to that, though. So the devil was doing his damage. I mean, he got God to wipe out all life on the planet and things of that nature, like, corrupting people and things. Like, he was doing his thing, but it was not a complete victory. This is what God gave me when I was on my prayer walk about that. What he gave me was the devil came and said, I don't like giving the devil too much credit. I don't like that at all because I don't like him. However, he said, I'm going to do something This is going to be my order 66. I'm going to make it so men suppress their emotion. I'm going to do that. And when I do that, it's going to destroy everything else. You might think, like, what are you talking about? That don't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. What do you mean? What do you mean that that's it? That's the order 66. So there's no grand plan to come kill us or destroy us or enslave us or anything like that. You know, probably around his little demon council or whatever. Maybe people talking like, nah, that's not going to work. He said, watch. He said, watch. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to get one race. I'm not going to get one country. Check this out, man. I'm going to get the entire world. Every man in the world, I'm going to get them and destroy them with this simple thing of getting them to suppress their emotions. That's it. Wild idea. Wild idea. Because it doesn't seem destructive. It doesn't seem deadly. It just seems like, it seems silly. Like, okay, well, they're just not going to express their emotions. They're going to suppress them and hold them in. Order 66 complete. When the message went out that men, nah, you aren't supposed to have emotions, man. But we're made in, but then no one stopped and questioned, oh, but we're made in God's image. God has emotions. See that all through the Bible. What you mean? Like, we're not supposed to. Someone came along the line, the devil got to, said, no, we don't do that. We straight logic. That's it. We solve problems. That's it. Shut all that emotional stuff down. That's for females. That's what they do. We're straight logic. Gotta be hard. Oh, okay, let's run with it. Every culture in the world, across the world, men are the same. We hold our emotions in. You know how much damage that does? You know how much that throws us off? You know how men are killing themselves, isolated, exploding, becoming dangerous and aggressive? Come on, man. Y'all ain't trying to hear me on this one. I'm telling you, the order 66 that the devil gave to men was something so simple, yet something that has caused more damage, caused more lives, caused more destruction than any disease, war, gun, policy, period. That one simple thing. Don't do that. Don't express it. Don't do that. And then guess what? Then he took the same message and brought it to the women. See, y'all, check it out. This emotion stuff, that's y'all thing. If you see men getting out of line, call them out. Call them out. Shut them down. Don't do that. And the women probably at some point in time like, but wait, we want them to open up. That's how we get close. That's how like they understand us. He said, nah, you want a real man, right? Real men don't have no emotions. A real man can't be tough if he out here having emotions. I guess you're right. So now part 2 of the plan, message received, right? Now women got it. And trust me, if you're a man and you've been in a relationship and you try to open up and share, I know you understand. I know you've experienced you're a woman saying, you're being a punk, you're being weak, you're being soft. Stop crying all the time. You're being a sissy. You're being gay. You're being this. I know I'm not the only one to experience that. I know I'm not the only one to experience that. It's across the board. And it's not to call anybody out or call my wife out or anything like that. It's not that. It's just simple. It's the order 66 that's been given to the women because they're saying you're not supposed to have emotions. That's part of the plan. Only I'm supposed to have them. You're not supposed to have them. You're not supposed to feel. You're not supposed to be depressed. You're not supposed to be anxious. You're not supposed to be sad. You're not supposed to have those concerns. Your only thing you're allowed to feel is anger and happiness. And if you feel anything outside of that, you're a female. Message received across the whole world, and men are being destroyed wholesale. That's dangerous, man. That's the plan. Jesus. I'm trying to tell y'all right now, man. Listen, I need something to help calm me down right now because this is exactly what God said to me. That's what he said. That's the order 66. That does the most damage. Y'all know how much damage is done when you hold that stuff in? Did y'all know holding in, suppressing your emotions can literally cause cancer, can literally cause heart disease, can literally cause ulcers, can literally end your life? cause dementia and Alzheimer's and all these. You understand the damage that happens when you suppress and hold in your emotions? That's if you don't kill yourself first. And then part of that same order is y'all can't even open up. Don't share with nobody, because that's not being a real man. Stand on your own 2 feet. Don't ask for help. Stand there in that pain. Stand there in that hurt. What? He slid that right in there as well. Not just the men, slid it over to women as well. So now what do y'all got? Now what do we got? Now we got men who are isolated. Now we're in groups. How we in a group of men and we all, yeah, but we all still alone. We all still isolated. Come on. Y'all don't see what I'm talking about? Come on, man. If you're a man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. One, to open up about something and feel like you can't because you're going to be called all types of names. I can't be the only person that's been there. If I open up and share, I'm going to be called names and ridiculed. If I cry, I'm going to be called weak. I'm going to be dismissed. I'm not going to be part. I'm going to be rejected. I can't be the only person to experience this. I cannot be. It's not possible for me to be the only person who's experienced this. And this is the devil's order 66. And it's way worse than what you saw in Star Wars. Because every single man on the planet experiences this. And our cultures have been designed around it. And our religions have been designed around it. And our societies have been designed around order 66. Why? Because you divide and you conquer. If I can isolate the man, if I can get him to suppress his emotions, he's going to destroy himself. And if the man can't stand up and he's destroyed and he can't be a leader, provider, and protector, then I got it all. Women can't stop me. No offense, women, but they can't stop me. The kids can't stop me. And if you're like, oh, well, you're being misogynistic, let me tell you something right now. When a man's not in the home, there's no structure, period. Right? When a man's not in the home to be there with his family and to be there with his wife and to be there with his kids, risk of going to jail goes up, drug use goes up, mental health orders go up, having poor wages goes up. Come on, you ain't trying to help me now. Do porn in school goes up, bullying goes up. I need y'all to get with me right now. You ain't going to sit up here and tell me, you're not going to sit up here and tell me that there's not a plan, an order 66 that's being used to destroy men. And the devil is coming through every single avenue to push that order. Now he has men thinking they're women. Why? Because I can't have them stepping into their role. I can't have them knowing who they are. I can't have them being leaders, providers, and protectors. I can't have that. I need full access. Because guess what happens? Once he gets the man out the way, once we have killed ourselves or drugged ourselves or put alcohol in our system or go to jail or whatever it is you do to destroy ourselves, rip our relationships apart, bounce from bed to bed to bed, have kids all over the place. Once we're out the way, the devil's got full reign. Full reign. And for anyone who's not a believer, that's fine. That's fine. Because guess what? The government has full reign on the whole populace, simply because men are not standing up, and we're not standing up because we don't even know how to regulate our own emotions, because we've been lied to our whole lives that we're not supposed to feel. That's the lie we were told. And I'm not saying, and here's another thing, I'm talking about emotional control. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some whiny man that's just crying all the time and just can't get it together. I'm not talking about that. There's no offense to anybody, but men, we do have a higher level of emotional control and regulation than women do. So I'm not talking about we're letting our emotions go all over the place. And let me also say this, because I'm using that example, but there's also the extreme. So I'm also not talking about the man who's super aggressive and yelling and screaming and cussing and banging stuff and punching people and committing crimes and killing. That's also wrong. And that's also not a man. I don't care how, oh, he's a bad boy. So no. That's also not a man. I'm talking about a man who knows and can control his emotions. I'm talking about a man who says, I'm fully integrated. My God has emotions. I have emotions, and I will learn how to regulate and use my emotions and step into my role as a man. That's a dangerous man, because that's a man that's going to stand up when something goes wrong. That's a man that's going to stand up and say, no, we ain't doing this. That's a man that's going to stand up and say, we're not poisoning our children. That's a man that's going to stand up in the corporate room and say, no, we ain't making that show. Before I got on here, I was down there with my family. And as I was down there with my family, they were telling me about they have this new Good Times show on Netflix. I don't recommend you watching it. They took the one of the few shows that showed a strong Black family. And even if you're not Black, you need to still recognize what this is. They took a strong Black family, strong father figure, keeping his kids in order and helping them get to where they're supposed to go. They took that, turned it into a joke. Father, stupid, dumb, kids, babies selling drugs. Nothing like what we grew up on watching with the James Evans and Florida Evans and JJ and Michael and Thelma. Nothing like that. That strong thing that was trying to do something right. Even if they're at the bottom, they're trying to do something right. You know why they were able to do that? Because they had a man there to give him that structure, a man that was in his role. I know you might be saying, oh, it's just a TV show, Keith. But the example is there because that's what we're supposed to be. Man, y'all trying to help me right now. I'm trying to tell you guys right now. Listen, the Devil's Order 66 is the most deadly thing he has ever done to mankind. Period. The deadliest thing. But here's the beauty of it, though, guys. And this is what God gave me as well. Listen, we don't have to stay there. There are ways, and that's, again, is the purpose of this group. It's a part of it, to have men learn how we can regulate our emotions, how we're allowed to have our emotions, how to combat the lies that other people might tell us, when to show emotion, how to regulate, what to do if we get escalated. Like, that's part of what we do. How to fend off the foolish attacks, how to advocate for ourselves, how to connect with other men. That's another part of this group, is for us to connect with other men and be like, hey, you're not alone. I felt that. I was in a session. The other day. Or it wasn't even a session. It was an emergency call. I had a client call me. It was a man. One of the things he said to me in that session, he was going through it. He said, man, I'm just tired. And I don't know, man. If you're a man, you know what I'm talking about. Because I ain't talking about I need some sleep. That's not what we're talking about. When a man says, I'm tired, that means I want to die. I want to leave this world. That means it's too hard to go at it alone. And I'm getting zero support, zero love. And even if you're on the outside thinking, well, I do love him, I do support him, whatever, that's not his experience. That wasn't my experience. When I got to that point and I was saying that wasn't my experience. I didn't feel like everyone was there on my side. I didn't feel like I had someone to open up and share stuff with. I didn't feel like I had a whole team around me. I'm not saying I didn't. I'm just saying I didn't feel like it at the time. And why is that? Y'all know that men commit suicide, to have a successive suicide at 4 times the rate of women. Women attempt it more. Men succeed more. And you know how many times, what do men get sick of the narrative? The narrative, oh, we didn't know. He was depressed. We didn't know. What do you think is going to happen with someone who is never able to fully express what they think and feel in a safe environment with someone who's like, I got you? What do you think is going to happen? It just blows my mind that when I think it was, I don't know, this last year, was maybe the year before that, when the guy from the Ellen DeGeneres show, Switch, I think his name was, committed suicide, and everyone was just shocked. Everyone, oh, wow, really? We didn't know. He was always smiling in the videos. He always seemed happy. You think that doesn't come with the playbook, the Order 66 playbook? You don't think that comes with it? This is how you mask your emotions. This is how you hide them. Put a smile on all the time. Say you're fine. Never open up. Never cry. Never share your feelings or emotions with anybody. Don't write them out. That's the playbook. Put a mask on. Put a mask on and make it so no one knows the real you. Be ultra and hyper masculine so no one will never know how insecure you might be or the issues you might have on the inside that you don't feel you can share. Y'all don't think that playbook comes? And again, I cannot be the only one who's experienced these things. And so then what do? What do you think happens to someone who's isolated like that? We can only be strong for so long. We can only be strong for so long. So it's no surprise that he killed himself. You look at someone like I was about to say Robin Givens, not her, Robin Williams, and how he killed himself. And everyone's surprised. He's always making everybody laugh. How could he ever be depressed? Everyone stop and ask him, "You okay, man?" Like really ask, like, "Hey, Murray, you look like you going through it. You okay? You good?" We don't get that as men. I think D.L. Hughley said that men don't get unconditional love. Said only unconditional love is for dogs, women, and children. Said men don't get unconditional love. That's part of the programming, guys. He's showing the issues that are there. He's showing that. I'm not saying that's right. We need to get unconditional love. But he was literally saying, this is the system. Y'all don't see the game? Y'all don't see the game? Like, we got to work for that. And when you got to work for it, that's not even real. And so no wonder why we're alone. It's no wonder why we're hurt. It's no wonder why we kill ourselves. It's no wonder why we crash and burn as much as we do. And then again, you have those other guys where they can't contain it, so it explodes. And so you might think, oh, he's hyper aggressive, or he's just a gangster, he's just a killer, he's just a this or just a that. Or maybe he's just someone who needed just someone to be there for him. You ever stop and think about that? Maybe he just needed someone to be there for him, someone to look out for him, someone to say, hey, bro, I know you're going through, but hey, it's going to be all right, man. Keep your head up, man. Hey, I'm going to take you under my wing. It's going to be good. It's going to be all right. That's what I'm saying. You don't got to be a father to be a leader in the community. There are young guys that are around us that are looking for mentorship, that are looking for someone to just say, hey, this is how you could be a man. Again, another part of this group and why I'm doing this. Because even if you don't have kids, there are people around you that need that help and need support so we can raise up men to stand up in these positions, stand up in our roles and fight back against this Order 66 and take back our families and take back our communities and take back our governments and take back our businesses. Come on, listen, when a man stands up, when a man said enough is enough. You ever seen people joke about that? Like, and this is particularly with like parents, men who are fathers, where the wife can be with the kids all day, and the kids don't listen. But when the man stands up and he says, hey, y'all cut that out, all of a sudden, y'all think that's just for married men? Come on, listen, I've been in rooms where people change, they change based off my presence. I'm not saying that in any kind of braggadocious way. But when I walk in the room, you ain't gonna be talking sideways. It's just not gonna happen. You're gonna come with a certain decorum at that time. That's what it means to be a man, to walk in and your presence is enough to change the game. You don't even gotta say anything. People won't even come out their mouth the wrong way, simply because you're standing and walking as a man. What do you think happens when we as men stand up and walk and show other men that, hey, this is how we do it? This is how you can be a man. We flock to men like that. You ever seen that? We as men, we will go and follow a strong man. If their mission and ours align, absolutely we'll follow a strong man. Why is that? Because dang, he's doing what we're supposed to do. And that force, that's what changes things. Imagine if us as men, at least in the United States, stood united against anything. It's a wrap. People want to talk about, the whole feminist movement talking about the patriarchy and whatever. All that just it's just garbage and foolishness. Listen, that's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to be because we're leaders, right? Guess what a fish does? A fish swims. Why? Because it's a fish. A cheetah runs. Why? Because it's a cheetah. That's what a cheetah does. So if a man is a leader, two and two together, a leader leads. So it makes sense that men are predominant in leader positions. It's naturally who we are. It's just naturally who we are. And again, it's not saying women can't be leaders and stuff like that, have their own businesses or whatever the case may be, but it's just naturally who we are. Now imagine if we all stood up and knew who we are and stood up and we're like, hey, listen, I'm going to be a leader, provider, protector for everyone in my vicinity. I'm going to pour in and build up everyone in my vicinity. I'm going to lead. I'm going to take this charge on some of these initiatives. I'm going to stand up against a school board who's trying to push all these agendas and books and stuff onto our kids. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? How this Order 66, how it works? And when men are out the way, they can get in and then poison the kids. They poison the kids with the media. They poison the kids with TikTok. They poison the kids with all these things. You see what I'm saying now? But let a man stand up and say, nah, it ain't going down like that. You know, when I was an early father, and I definitely wasn't like I was today. I still had a lot of work to do. But the one thing I recognized was the foolishness that mainstream media was trying to push on my children. And y'all might think, oh, well, I'm going to bring up the stroke SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh, nothing wrong with the show. He's just this young kid. But anytime you feminize a man, that's a direct attack on man. I need you to understand that. Whenever you put a man in a dress, that's a direct attack on men. That's personal. I need y'all to understand that is personal. So when this show came on and they had SpongeBob in front of my children, as he's supposed to be a boy with feminine traits, acting feminine, acting weak, acting soft. There was even an episode, this is the breaking point for me. There was an episode where they had the nerve to turn him into a wife and his friend Patrick into a husband. What? And y'all okay? We can't be okay with that. We cannot be okay with that. And if anyone watched that Cat Williams thing with Shannon Sharp, if you haven't, I recommend it. It was really good. But the whole idea of putting all these men in dresses and put them in dresses, bro, that's personal. That's personal. I'll tell a quick story. I remember one time, my son, must have been like, I don't know, 2 at the time. He was in daycare. You know, in daycare, they'll have their little costumes and things like this. And my wife came home one day and told me, hey, they said that your son Joshua, that, you know, on your son, because the same parents, but like they said your son Joshua, they put a dress on. They let him put a dress on. Said he was having a hard time. He was getting a little frustrated. They put a dress on. I said, what? She said, yeah. I said, don't worry about it. I'm gonna go up there tomorrow. Went up there that morning. I went to the classroom. I talked to the teacher. I said, and it wasn't no, you know, would you mind just not like, you know, I know they're no, it wasn't nothing like that. We need to cut that stuff out. I went to the teacher. I said, hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't care what happens. He would never be in a dress ever again. Do not. Now, granted, I didn't come with this type of energy, but I'm feeling it right now. But I said, under no circumstances should he ever be in a dress, ever. Under no circumstances. He should never be in a dress. That's a direct attack on masculinity. That's a direct attack on us as men. And it's not funny. It's not funny in the movies. It's not funny in other cultures. It's not funny for men to be feminized. That's not funny. That's a direct assist. All right. So I'm going to bring it to a close. I'm going to wrap it up. Guys, that Order 66 is real. That suppression of emotions is real. Guys, we're not designed to be like that. God set it up. He set this up in the very beginning. Again, whether or not you believe in God is completely and totally irrelevant to what I'm about to say, because he said in the beginning, the data backs it up. He said it's not good for man to be alone. The data backs it up. Mental health data backs it up. The social data backs it up. So whether you believe in God or not, you believe the numbers. I had a friend of mine tell me, she said, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. The numbers back it up. When you, and the strategy backs it up. Divide and conquer. Keep the men isolated, keep them separated, and make it so they don't, connect with each other and build that strong force. No, they don't want that. They don't want that. So, gentlemen, I'm trying to tell you right now, we can't care about what they want. We can't care about what our society wants. We can't care about what our culture wants. We can't care about what our religion wants. Anything that keeps us from being leaders, providers, and protectors needs to be thrown in the garbage. It needs to be trashed. Anything that tries to keep us from these roles needs to be trashed, thrown in the garbage. Any ideology that attacks what it is to be masculine, what it is to be a man, needs to be thrown in the garbage. It's a lie. It's foolishness. It's destructive. It's hellbound. It's useless. Useless. And I will absolutely, and trust me, listen, I'm at the point now where everybody and anybody's going to get it, because there's also those guys on the other side, what I call the hyper masculine, call themselves alphas, and we'll get into all the classification. Maybe that'll be for next week or whatnot. The alphas and the betas and the sigmas and all this stuff like that. Foolishness, garbage, useless, waste of time. Are there good principles in there along the way? Yes, but we're going to take all that and we're going to put it in one place to be the men we're supposed to be fully integrated, to know how to operate with our emotions. They call it emotional. That's the buzzword now, right? Emotional intelligence. But to have that, to be able to have a conversation with our wife and be able to switch between, can I fix the problem, or let me just empathize with you and work on your emotions, being able to switch in real time. Guys, I really need to understand there's so much power. There's so much power in being a man and being in God's image. You have no idea, because this is stuff that they don't talk about in the world. They don't talk about it in the world. There's so much power in being a man. But we got to learn how to wield that power the right way. Because once we learn how to wield the power the right way, we become unstoppable. We become unstoppable in our finances. We become unstoppable in our relationships. We become unstoppable in our communities. We can put a pause on everything. If someone's doing some wild stuff, come with some wild ideas, like, nah, bro, that is not gonna fly here. That's the power of being a man. That's the power that God gave us and gave us access to. We're made in his image. You know what that means, to be made in the image of God? Oh my gosh. What comes with that? What power comes with that? What responsibility comes with that? Like, that's huge. That is incredibly huge. We have access to that at all times, but we got to learn how. We got to learn how to wield our power and wield our authority, how to truly be a leader, a provider, and a protector, and all that entails. Because you think about it like this: God's a leader, provider, protector, but does all he do is make decisions, give us money, and make sure we stay safe? Is that all God does? God hasn't given you peace. God hasn't given you ideas. God hasn't given you direction. God hasn't cultivated you. God hasn't healed you. God hasn't forgiven you. He's not teaching you, instructing you, guiding you. Come on now. This is just empathizing with you when you need it, keeping you on track, smacking you around when you need it. God's not doing all that. That was just off the top of my head, because God does so much more. So if we're made in his image and we're supposed to do what he does, then that means there's a whole lot more to it than making some money, having a nice house, and making sure my family is safe. There's a whole lot more to it than that. You know what? Here's the beautiful thing about it. We got the power to activate that stuff right now. Change your marriage right now. Change your kids right now. Change community right now. Oh man, guys, this is, listen. This is incredible. Listen, this is incredible. This is incredible. This is incredible. Guys, we're going to be back next week. Well, I guess before I go, I know we got 3 people in here. I don't know if anyone has any questions we could answer, in the next 10 minutes or so. But if you have any questions, I can give you guys some time to put it in there and ask. But yeah, guys, there's a plot against men, and we'll talk about it as well. As a matter of fact, there was there's so much more to it, man. Talking about, when people talk about the threats to men in the following upcoming weeks, where we're told that we can only use logic and we got to suppress our emotions, the classifications like I was talking to you guys about before, that alpha, sigma, and all that stuff like that, and how it literally breaks up who we're supposed to be holistically, men having a feminine side. I'll tell you, some of these things just like get me going, man. Like they boil my blood, man. Like some of these things, toxic masculinity, hyper masculinity, like all that mainstream media perception of men and how it's portrayed over and over. Listen, we're going to get into all that stuff. We're going to get into all that stuff and so much more. We're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about health. One of the things I'm a big firm believer of is that we need to make sure that we are taking care of our bodies and working out and lifting weights, not just running, not just walking on a treadmill, not just being on a bike. I'm talking about getting some gritty weights, or if you want to use bands, I know people use bands, whatever. We need to stack on the muscle. That begin. We'll talk about that in another one, right? It's just important for us. There's so much more, guys. There's so much more. There's so much more. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this live stream. I'm excited for the podcast to me coming up in the next few days, or the next couple of weeks. I'm excited about the men's group that's starting up in March. Not March, in May, how we're going to be relaunching that and starting it again in May. I'm excited about all this. Why? Because the whole purpose of my business, the motto is improving the world by improving you, right? But if we can, to improve the world, what's the best way to do that? Everyone has their own ways, but I'm telling you right now, if we can get men to be in their positions, you know how many problems dry up and go away? If we get men to go up and say, hey, no, we ain't doing this human trafficking stuff. Now we got to find a better way to get money, Now all that shuts down, because guess what? Men are the biggest purveyors of human trafficking. Imagine that. Imagine us standing up and shutting that stuff down, keeping our children safe, our women safe. Imagine that. All right. Imagine us standing up, and when they come to the schools and try to push a different agendas and all that stuff like that, imagine men stood up and say, nah, bro, it ain't that kind of party. Nope. Imagine if the people, again, in the boardrooms and the governments and all that stuff like that, imagine if there were real men that said, nah, we're not poisoning the people. We're not lying to the people. We're not wasting their money. We're not doing that. Imagine if men stood up and said, nah, we ain't doing that. Imagine the state this country and this world would be in if men were standing up. If men were standing up and doing and being exactly how God wants us to be. Man. So guys, listen, we'll be back next week. And the topic, we're going to be talking about some of the threats of men, and maybe we'll do that for the next couple of weeks, because I think that's going to be important in order for us to talk about some of these things. But I'm going to leave y'all with a quote real quick, and it comes to, and it kind of ties in everything all together. The quote is, the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. That's it. For good men to do nothing, because a good man stands up for what's right. So do we have a lot of men out here in the world or whatnot? Yeah, we do. We do have a lot of men out here in the world. But the quote doesn't say the only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for men to do nothing. It doesn't say that. It says the only thing necessary for evil to succeed in the world is for good men to do nothing. And I would dare say, if you're a man and you're good, it's impossible for you to not do something. I think that might be the clincher for that whole thing. We got to be and stand up and be in our roles, because the world is depending on us. Our women and children are depending on us. Our wives are depending on us. Our communities are depending on us. Improving the world by improving you. If we get the men right and get us back in where we're supposed to be, then guess what? Everything else starts falling back in line. we're going to get into so much more, guys. Listen, I appreciate you all. Thank you all for showing up. Love you guys. Listen, if you need something, y'all can reach out. Let me know. My contact information. Listen, my contact information is everywhere, man. If you're at my YouTube page, it's all over there. You can go to my website. My contact information is everywhere. So if you need me, I always tell people I'm not hard to find. I ain't hiding from nobody. I ain't ducking nobody. So listen, love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. And hey, we'll be back next week.